Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It occurred to me that I have not updated you all on a lot of the products that I've been testing this year. I have tested quite a few new things both on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram and TikTok, and also just kind of behind the scenes. So I thought it was high time that I gathered up some of those products and gave you a little speed reviews video where I try and quickly move through a bunch of products, let you know my kind of one-line review of them, whether or not I recommend them, if you've been eyeing them and wanting to purchase them, and what my experience has been like with lots of different makeup products, some of which are new releases, others of which are just new to me. So if that sounds good, I hope you will keep watching. There are a lot of products in front of me and this is a speed reviews video, so I'm gonna try to keep it speedy. So let's just jump right in. Let's start with eyebrow products. So I did a video earlier in the year where I did a full face of e.l.f. trying new releases and new products to me from the e.l.f. line, and I ordered quite a few brow products for that video. So I ordered the e.l.f. Brow Lift, the e.l.f. Soap Brow, and the Instant Lift Waterproof Brow Pencil. So I'll start by talking about these two. So the e.l.f. Brow Lift is definitely more of like a traditional brow glue. It's a gel-like consistency. You put your spoolie right in there and then brush it through your brows, versus the Soap Brow, which you have to kind of activate with water and then get your spoolie in there to make almost like a lather and then run that through your brows. I purchased both of these because I've heard great things about both of them, but unfortunately I don't really love either of these. I mean, I'm going to use them because I have them in my collection now, but neither of them give me the strong hold that I'm looking for in a brow gel product. The Brow Lift, I think, is almost a little bit too heavy for my fine and long brow hairs. It almost is too moisturizing and weighs them down. So it looks really good when I first apply it, but then within minutes my brows are droopy again, which is very sad. So this is unfortunately not a favorite for me. And then the Soap Brow is very similar. It looks really, really good when I first apply it, although there is the risk with a soap kind of product of getting like white pieces of soap through your brows, which I've definitely had happen to me, and it does not look very cute. But it does stick my brows down and hold them up well at the start, but unfortunately it just doesn't last. So I can't say that I would recommend either of these unless you aren't too particular about having your eyebrows really locked into place and stuck down and lifted, and you want them to be that way all day long. If you like more of like just something to groom the brows a little bit and give them a soft hold, you might like these, but otherwise these are kind of a skip for me. However, I have really been enjoying the Instant Lift Waterproof Brow Pencil. I have mine in the shade Neutral Brown, which by the way is a great shade for me. So if you have kind of a similar hair color or tone to me, a lot of eyebrow pencils for me pull very red and golden and warm, and this is a really nice neutral, almost ashy undertone, so it looks really, really natural in my brows. I will say I wish the pencil was a little bit smaller because this is kind of a chunkier nib to it, but I've just been kind of applying this with a light hand, not even necessarily trying to create hair-like strokes, but just to kind of fill in my brows with a little bit of color as a base. And I have been really enjoying it, and I do think that, I don't know if it's waterproof, but it's definitely long wearing, and I really, really like that because a lot of times brow products fade or rub off on me. So for an affordable brow pencil option, I think this one is really, really good. If you are looking for those really micro kind of hair-like strokes though, I finally found a brow pen that I actually like and have gotten the hang of. This is the Milani Weekend Brow, and I've been using the shade 130 Medium Brown. I don't know what it is about this one, but it's just better than all of the other brow pens that I've used before. I've tried high-end ones, drugstore ones, I've tried the Urban Decay one, the Glossier Boy Brow, all different kinds of brow pens, and this is the only one that I found is easy to use consistently. My main problem with brow pens is that the ink doesn't seem to run through the pen consistently, so I end up with like nothing coming out, and then all of a sudden there'll be a big splotch of the product on my face. This one doesn't seem to have that problem, and so it makes it just a really nice, easy experience. I still just go in with a really, really light hand with this one, but this is the best brow pen that I've tried, and I'm not typically a brow pen lover, so I definitely recommend this one if you are looking for a really, really good brow pen option, and it happens to be affordable and from the drugstore, which is a plus. Okay, now let's move on to primers. So I purchased the Cali Ray So Blown Clean Blurring Primer leading up to my wedding day because I knew I was going to want something that really blurred my pores in the center of my face and just made my skin look a little bit more perfected under foundation, especially for pictures. I have been so pleasantly surprised by this. It definitely is a typical blurring primer in that it has a little bit of that silicone-y feel, but it's not as silicone-y as other blurring primers that I've tried. It's almost more of like a soft, silky powder finish on your skin, which feels a lot nicer than like a heavy silicone primer. This does a fantastic job blurring. Like, I have to say, it really does blur probably more than any other blurring primer I've used, and I think it does a good job of helping my makeup stay on in the places where I'm most likely to get oily, which is around my nose and through the center of my face. It smells really good. It has a nice, light, fresh, citrusy scent, so if fragrance does bother you, that's something to be aware of. But overall, I have been so impressed by this primer, and I would definitely recommend it. If not for everyday use, then maybe just for like your special occasion makeup where you just really want your skin to be as perfected as possible. I did use this on my wedding day and I loved it. Then I have two drugstore options that are glowy primers trying to dupe the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. So we have the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I have mine in the shade 0.5 Fair, and the Catrice Soft Glam Filter Fluid Glow Booster. This one is in the shade 020 Light Medium. I was gifted this one by the brand. I purchased this one myself, and this was the lighter of the two shades that they sent me, so it is a little bit more of my self-tan shade. I like both of these products as glowy primers, and I think generally they achieve the same look in the way that I use them, which is under foundation as a primer and sometimes as a highlighter on the tops of my cheeks. But I will say there is a big difference in the formula of these. The e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter is almost more of a moisturizing, hydrating formula. It feels a little bit thicker. When I apply this all over my face, I definitely look like the Tin Man. The shimmer is pretty strong on this one, and it definitely comes through. I know some people apply this all over their face as their foundation. I can't do that because I think it's just too shimmery for what I like. But I will say, if you have normal to dry skin and you want to have a mix in with foundation, if there's a foundation you have that sits really matte or dry on your skin, I think this is a beautiful hydrated texture that works really well to mix with foundations that will also give you a little bit more of a glow to your skin. The Catrice, on the other hand, is a thinner formula. It has less of a dramatic shimmer to it. This one, I probably still wouldn't apply all over my face as foundation, but if I had to, I would definitely choose this one over the e.l.f. for that purpose. It's much more of a refined glow to the skin, and because it is more of that thinner formula, I find it's a little bit drier. So if you apply this, say on the tops of your cheeks, and then you go in to blend it, sometimes it's almost a little bit difficult for me to blend because it is thinner, it's drier. It's almost like the liquid aspect of this evaporates more quickly or something. So that is just something to be aware of if you are going to use this and blend it with a brush or a sponge. It can be a little bit more difficult to blend. If you use it with your fingers, I do think that the heat from your fingertips really helps to blend it a little bit more easily. But I think those of you with more normal combination to oily skin would really like this as a thinner, more lightweight option to add a little bit more glow to your skin without making your skin feel or look greasy. Speaking of greasy skin, let's talk about some powders. So I actually tried the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder for the first time this year. I know this is such a drugstore standby in so many people's makeup routines, but I had never tried it before. I got the shade 05 Fair because this was definitely back in the winter months when I was feeling very pale. And I have to say, if you are pale or fair skinned, this is a really light shade, so it might be great for those of you who need a light shade in your powder. I was just not prepared for how mattifying this powder is. My typical go-to loose setting powder is the Laura Mercier loose translucent setting powder. The Laura Mercier one definitely mattifies, but you almost have to build it up if you want a really matte look. It's almost more of like a satin finish to the skin when I set my face with that one. This one, just a small amount of this powder and my skin was flat matte, like almost dry. So maybe not the best one for those of you with dry to extremely dry skin, and especially not in the winter, because it was almost like a tight feeling on my face, and I haven't had that from a powder really ever before. But I can also see why so many people like this if you are more combination oily, or maybe you're using this in the summer when there's more humidity and your skin is feeling a little bit more hydrated, to really lock in those areas of your face that you want to be matte. I was just a little bit shocked because no one warned me about how matte this is and how little of an amount of powder you actually have to apply to mattify your entire face. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what your skin needs and what look you like. But I do love that this is a more affordable loose setting powder version at the drugstore. I would just say if you are dry like me, or you aren't a fan of a super matte look, just apply a really, really small amount of this and kind of tread carefully at first until you get the hang of how much powder you need, and in those areas of your face only where you want it to be matte. Now on the complete opposite end of the powder spectrum is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Luminous Perfecting Pressed Powder in the shade Translucent. I was sent a few products from Laura Mercier because I am actually now an affiliate with them. So if you use my code, you can save a little bit of money on your order off of the Laura Mercier website, and I will have my code here and in the description box. So I was lucky enough to receive this as a gifted product with no obligation to post about it, but I have been trying it, and this is really nice. I think, as I said, polar opposite end of the Maybelline Fit Me. This is definitely for if you want your skin to retain some of its glow, or maybe you have really dry skin that you barely want any powder. You just want a tiny bit of powder to set and maybe mattify in certain areas. It says luminous in the name, and I do think that this has a bit of a luminous quality to it, where it can set your face, but it's not going to be completely flat and matte like the Maybelline Fit Me is. Still retains a little bit of the skin's natural glow. So I think this, for me, ended up being more like what the Kosas Cloud Set is for a lot of people. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Kosas Cloud Set because I felt like it sat a little bit heavy on my skin, but I know so many people love that powder because it's like a powder no powder look. It sets your face without looking super powdery, and I think this one is a really nice alternative to that one. If you weren't a huge fan of the Kosas, it definitely feels lighter weight on the skin to me, and if you're looking for something to just set your makeup, keep your glow intact, or if you have really, really dry skin and you don't really get along with powders in general, I think you might really like this one. Moving now to eyeliners, I have two eyeliner formulas that are completely new to me. The first is the Persona 24-Hour Waterproof Eye Pencil. You might have already spotted this if you watched my wedding day makeup video where I went through and applied my makeup the exact way that I applied it for my wedding back in June. I will have that video linked in the description box down below. But if I used it on my wedding day, you know that means I love it. This really is such a nice long wearing pencil. It says 24 hours and it says it's waterproof. I actually believe it with this one because this did not budge. You have a tiny bit of playtime to smudge it out. It's a really short window though, so make sure you're ready to smudge it out right after you apply. But after that, you are locked and loaded. Your eyeliner is not going anywhere. So if you're looking for a really, really good long wearing pencil eyeliner formulation, I cannot recommend this one enough. And then I was sent some products from What's Up Beauty in PR when their newest collection came out earlier in the summer. And in that collection were 2 liquid liners. So there's a black one named Kemet and a multi-chrome green to gold, which is absolutely stunning, called Nibu. I have to say the black liquid liner is less intriguing to me because I'm just not really a black liquid liner girly. I know so many people are and they wear it in their everyday makeup. I wear a black liquid liner very rarely, typically if I'm wearing like false lashes or something where I want to cover up the band. But I do love a fun liner to just jazz up any old neutral eye look. So I was most excited for the multi-chrome liner, and this one did not disappoint. It is so pretty. I did make a reel with this one, so I'll try to insert some of the footage from that. But it is gorgeous on the eyes and so fun to play with. Both of these are really long wearing. I'm not 100% sure if they are waterproof, but I know that I had a heck of a time removing them. So if you are a wing liner lover and you need a really long wearing formula, I can say that these are pretty water resistant. It took a bit of elbow grease and a good cleansing oil to get these fully off of my eyes and the swatches off of my hands. My only kind of critique about this product is that the applicator is a little bit long and flimsy. My preference when it comes to a liquid liner is to have something a little bit more stiff, just so that there's less margin for error. I found I don't have the steadiest hand, so if my hand moves even a little bit with a flimsy applicator like this, I will have a mistake in my eyeliner. But some of you might prefer more of that brush tip style applicator, so it just depends on what you like in your eyeliner. But formula wise, I do think these are really good. Moving to some cheek products now, also in that PR package from What's Up Beauty, they kindly sent along their Serengeti highlighters. They sent both shades, one of which is Safari Sunset and the other is Wild Acacia. I am wearing Wild Acacia today. I'm not sure if you can see this pretty glow, but this one is definitely the lighter of the two. It has more of an iciness to it, and then Safari Sunset is definitely more of a champagne. Beautiful highlighter formula. I think a lot of people would like this. I look at it on my cheeks really close up. I can see some sparkles or kind of flakes of glitter, but from afar, it just looks like a really beautiful sheen, a gorgeous glow from within, and I don't know what else you could ask for in a powder highlighter. I think most people would really get on well with this formula. And we have to take a minute for the embossing because the detail in the product itself is stunning. I also will just mention that I like that you have 2 different tones of highlighter, because a lot of times I reach into a highlighter for the inner corners of my eyes, or I want to multi-purpose my highlighters for eyes and cheeks. And then you always have the option to mix them together, which is what I did for my cheeks today. And yeah, I just love that. I love having an icy white highlighter option for the inner corners of my eyes, and I love a pink highlighter too. Just blends in with the blush so well. You're sort of getting 3 highlighters for the price of 1 with these. You're getting both of the tones in here and the tone that you get when you mix them both together. I love What's Up Beauty as a brand. I am a little bit biased because they are one of the only brands that has sent me an eyeshadow palette in PR to share on my channel, which was just like the best ever. But I also think that they create really high quality products and put a ton of thought into their formulas and their packaging. So definitely check them out if you haven't already. I have also tried out quite a few blushes this year. Blushes definitely seem to be having their moment lately. I tried the Too Faced Cloud Crush Blurring Blush in the shade Candy Clouds. This is super pretty. I actually found this at TJ Maxx or Marshalls for a pretty nice discount, and I decided to pick it up because I didn't have anything in my collection that was that classic bubblegum kind of Dior rosy glow color, and this is 100% that shade, and it is so pretty. I absolutely love the formula of this. It is really blurring on the cheeks, which is not something I can say about all of my powder blushes. I find sometimes powder blushes can even emphasize pores and texture on my cheeks, this is a really nice blurring formula. Remember, I wrote notes about this one, so let me consult my notes here. I said it does have a blurring effect on the cheeks, but still lets a little glow come through. That's definitely true. It's not super matte and it doesn't sit super dry on the face, which is something that I'm always a little bit worried about with powder blush. Pigmented, a little goes a long way. I do agree with that as well. And then I said strong smell. Yeah, it definitely has a bit of like a baby powder scent. I don't think it's something that lingered on my face. It was more of like an application thing. So maybe something to be aware of if you're sensitive to fragrance. But overall, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful blush formula, especially for the blurring qualities that it has. I'd be interested to try other shades. And this packaging is so vintage and cute. I love it. I also tried out the One Size Beauty Cheek Clapper 3D Blush Trio. I was sent this in my PR box that I get from Ipsy, and mine is in the shade Very That. They're definitely more peachy tones than I would typically pick out in my blush, but I actually love how different they all are. So you get 3 different formulas: a cream, a matte powder, and then a highlighter. The cream is actually the deepest tone of the 3, and I actually really love the tone of this cream blush. I felt like this cream blush was also blurring. Sometimes cream blushes can be really hydrated and emollient, like if you've tried the Tower 28 cream blushes. Those are very almost thick and sticky in a way. This is not that formula at all. It's very thin, almost more like a cream to powder texture, so that it sits very nicely on the cheeks and is very blurring, smoothing, and also pigmented. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the cream in here. I also loved the matte powder blush. It is a little bit lighter than the cream, but I really like that actually for setting the cream down. I felt like this was just a super finely milled, thin powder formula. The only formula that I didn't super get along with in this is the highlighter. So this highlighter is just, first of all, I think it's too deep for the blushes that are in here, and it's definitely more golden and orangey peach than I'm used to, which is a shame because I feel like this formula has potential. It's definitely like a very impactful in-your-face highlighter, which is not what I typically go for day to day, but I know a lot of people do. So I think the formula has a lot of potential, but the shade was just all wrong for me. It was not good on my skin tone, and I just don't think that this shade of highlighter pairs well with this otherwise like stunning blush combo. The only way that I could really think to use this would be as eyeshadow if I wanted like a really peachy gold on my eyes, but I typically don't even like those shades on my eyes anyway. Yeah, I think it's down to the tones. Like even though these are peachy, they're not so warm that they completely clash with my cooler undertone, versus the undertone of the highlighter definitely does clash with my cooler undertone. So that was kind of a bummer. But overall, I was really pleasantly surprised by this, and I would be interested to see what other shades they have available. Then we get to the absolute slew of liquid blushes that I have tried this year. So where do I even begin? Let's start with Rare Beauty, because that's the one that everyone knows and loves and everyone and their mother uses. I got the shade Happy because I have seen so many makeup artists use this blush as a base for wedding day makeup, and I thought it would be perfect for my wedding day makeup. I did end up using it on my wedding day, and I like this blush, but I like it for a specific purpose, and that is as a base for a powder blush when I want my blush to be super long wearing. I have to say, I don't love the application of this. I find it really finicky. It can be patchy. It can pick up the foundation underneath. I don't like applying this with a sponge because I feel like the sponge just drinks it up. But when I apply it with a brush, I have to be so careful not to disturb the foundation underneath. And applying it with my fingers can lead to a lot of patchiness. I just find this difficult to blend. I know a lot of people really love these, and I'm probably in the minority, but it's just not my favorite formula. However, it does wear a super long time on the cheeks, which is rare when it comes to cream and liquid blushes. So I do give it points for that. And this shade is really, really cute and flattering and brings a lot of life and kind of health to your cheeks. So I'm sort of in two minds about this blush formula. I probably won't buy another one, but for the reason that I bought it, for a really long wearing, pretty bright, summery flush to my cheeks for my wedding day, I think it served its purpose. Which brings me to the e.l.f., what are these called? Camo Liquid Blush. So I bought the shade Pinky Promise, which is supposed to be a dupe for Rare Beauty Happy. First of all, these are not dupes. This is a completely different shade, and it's also a different formula. You can see, even as I'm just turning it in front of my light here, it has shimmer in it. The Rare Beauty one does not. It's completely matte. I wonder if my issues with this come from the shimmer. I feel like this one is also really hard to get an even application with. It's just so finicky. Sometimes I think I'm applying the right amount and it'll be too little, and then I'll apply that exact same amount and it'll be too much. It's like the pigment isn't mixed properly or something. Again, I know a lot of people love these and I'm probably in the minority. And yes, I do think it's better to take a risk on a blush like this at e.l.f.'s price point rather than Rare Beauty's, but I just can't really get on board with this one either. I wanted to love the color, but even the color didn't look quite right on my skin. I mean, it's fine and I'm going to use it because I have it in my collection, but would I recommend that you all run out and buy it? I just don't think so. I also don't think this one is nearly as long wearing as the Rare Beauty one. It's definitely more hydrated than the Rare Beauty one, which again, I have dry skin, so maybe it's a me thing, but I feel like it sinks into my skin. My skin kind of drinks it up, and then again, I'm left with an uneven blush look on my cheeks. So yeah, just not a favorite overall for me. I know a lot of people love it, and if you love it, that's great. I'm actually very happy for you because these are super affordable. They're like, what, $4? And they have some really pretty shades, but not a favorite for me. Weirdly, the two liquid blushes that I've tried that are not the most popular ones, the e.l.f. and the Rare Beauty, have been the ones that I've liked the best. So I tried the Moira Love Steady liquid blush, and I also tried the Winky Lux Cheeky Rose liquid blush. The Winky Lux is actually a really interesting applicator. It goes on with this little, I don't know, what do we call this? It's like almost like a oversized doe foot, which I actually prefer to the like lip gloss wand style of the other ones. I don't know, there's just something about this applicator that I feel like applies more evenly, but it's much, much thinner, and it almost looks like a stain. It's more like the e.l.f. in that way, that it's a little bit thinner and a little bit more dewy, so that when you blend it out, it ends up looking almost like a stain on your cheeks. The Moira is definitely more like the Rare Beauty in that it is a thicker formula, almost with more of like a cream to powder finish, but both of these are just easier to blend than the other two. I just prefer both of these so much more. Have more playtime with these, I think. They are just more foolproof to me. They don't apply in such a patchy way, and you can blend them without completely disturbing the rest of your makeup. So if I had to recommend you a liquid blush, I would definitely go for the Winky Lux or the Moira over the e.l.f. or the Rare Beauty. But overall, and I know this might be controversial, I just don't know if I am a liquid blush girly. I think I'm definitely a cream blush girly, and I'm definitely a powder blush girly. Liquid blush is like fine, but it's just not as enjoyable of an experience for me because there's too many ways that it can go wrong in the application process. So while I do have these in my collection, I do like them, I will use them. I'm gonna use the Rare Beauty and the e.l.f. as well. I think I'm done trying liquid blushes for a while. I think I'm just gonna stick to my creams and my powders for the most part. All right, let's talk about mascaras. I have 5 to discuss today, 2 of which I don't have the bottles anymore because I've actually finished them. So let's discuss those first. So I tried the e.l.f. Extender Mascara, which is a tubing mascara. How exciting is it that all of these drugstore brands are coming out with tubing mascaras now? it's great news because mascara has to be replaced frequently, and spending over $30 every time you have to replace a mascara gets really expensive. So I'm so excited to see more options on the drugstore market. This is clearly supposed to be a dupe for the Thrive Causemetics mascara by the teal packaging that they've used. I will go ahead and say it is not a dupe for that mascara, other than the fact that both of them are tubing. Consulting my notes, I wrote that the e.l.f. Lash Extender is best for definition and not so much volume. And I agree with that statement. I could get to the point where I felt like I had really nice volume with that mascara, but it took building, which is tough with a tubing mascara because, you know, as soon as you apply it, it forms tubes. So building on a tubing mascara can be a little bit risky because you're in the danger zone in terms of things looking really clumpy and spidery. I felt like I could build the e.l.f., but it took me a while and more coats than I wanted to have to spend to get the kind of look that I wanted on my lashes. That being said, it did perform well as a tubing mascara in that it did not smudge. I didn't notice any flakiness until the bottle got dried out and it was almost time for it to be thrown away, which is typical for my tubing mascaras. And I didn't feel like it was crazy difficult to remove at the end of the night. Then I tried the Neutrogena Healthy Definition, which is not even marketed as a tubing mascara, so it's kind of like a sleeper hit. I really enjoyed this one. I wrote great choice for volume and definition, so I could get major volume with my lashes and definition without having to spend forever building it up and applying a bunch of coats. But became harder to apply as it aged or dried out, and that is true. Because there is that like polymer ingredient that creates the tubes, sometimes tubing mascaras can get a little bit rubbery as the mascara bottle has been open and dries out and gets older. And that's what happened with the Neutrogena. So it's just one of those where when it's time for it to go, and you know it's time to throw it away and open a new bottle of mascara. I felt like I didn't have as long to use the Neutrogena one as I did the e.l.f. one before it started to get that kind of rubbery, hard to apply kind of a feeling, but I definitely liked the effect of the Neutrogena better than the e.l.f. With the Neutrogena, I definitely noticed the tubes coming off of my eyes and into the sink when I washed my face at night. The e.l.f., I don't remember after washing my face looking down and seeing the like formed tubes of mascara as much. It almost dissolved on my face, which to be honest, I kind of prefer because the tubes are kind of freaky and gross me out. But something to be aware of, the Neutrogena definitely comes off in tubes. So if that's something that you're looking for, I felt like the removal was pretty easy, but it did kind of leave a mess in my sink. So something to be aware of. So those are the ones that I have since used up and I no longer even have to show to you. Now let's talk about two more, one of which is a tubing mascara and one of which actually isn't, but I really love it. So this is the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara. This is actually a repurchase. I tried this, I think last year. I was sent it for review and I really enjoyed it last year, and I kind of panic bought this before my wedding because I had been using the Neutrogena and loving the way my lashes looked, and then it started to dry out and get that like rubbery kind of texture, and I did not want to have to deal with that on my wedding day at all. So I had an emergency trip to Sephora where I picked up a mini of this, knowing it was a reliable tubing mascara that I could get great volume and definition out of and not have to worry about it smudging or running on my wedding day. And my wedding day was very hot. It was very sweaty. My eyes teared up on multiple occasions. So this is a great tubing mascara option. I think the fact that I repurchased this kind of speaks for itself in that I knew I could depend on this for my wedding day, and I love that it's so readily available. You can just go to Sephora. Like the Thrive mascara, I love that one too, but you have to order it and the shipping takes a while. This you can just run into your local Sephora or, Sephora and Kohl's even, and grab a bottle. So that's great. Cali Ray is actually not crazy expensive in terms of Sephora prices, but definitely more expensive than some of these other drugstore options. But it is a beautiful mascara if you like both volume and definition in your tubing mascara. And then we have a mascara that really surprised me. This is the Wet n Wild So Defined Volumizing and Defining Mascara. I'm not sure if they are trying to market this as a tubing mascara or what. It's definitely not a tubing mascara, but it is really, really good. I received a PR package from Wet n Wild, which was, first of all, amazing. But this is the most volumizing mascara I have tried in a really, really long time. I have it on my eyelashes now, and my eyelashes are just huge. They're just so volumized and defined. The other one that does a similar job to this is actually the What's Up Beauty mascara. I got similar results in terms of volume and definition from that mascara. But again, this one's Wet n Wild. It's only a few dollars. It's very cheap, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised by this. If you don't have to use a tubing mascara, like for me, I have to use a tubing mascara because my eye shape means that my eyelashes touch my eyebrows, and non-tubing mascaras smudge on me like that. So if you don't have to use a tubing mascara, I would 100% recommend grabbing this and trying it. If you do have to use a tubing mascara, a little trick that I've been doing is I'm using this as the base for my mascara, and then I'm going in with a coat of tubing mascara over the top to just coat everything and lock it in so that I don't get smudges. So that way I'm getting the best of both worlds with the volume and the definition from this one, and I'm also getting extra volume and definition from like the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water, but I know that my mascara isn't smudging or going anywhere. Yes, I know that's a little bit extra, but it's worth it. Oh, I should also mention this. It's the Clio Kill Lash Superproof Mascara in Sharp Curl. This is an Asian beauty brand, and from what I understand, a lot of people really like the Kill Lash tubing mascaras. I struggled so hard getting this off of my eyes. I just had to give up and live with mascara on my lashes for the next day and a half after applying this. It was basically impossible to get off of my eyes. So for people who have like severe concerns about their mascara moving around, maybe that is appealing to you, but I don't think anyone wants to work that hard to get mascara off. So I have only used this once, and I honestly don't know if I can get myself to use it again. So that's my review. Okay, let's finally move on now to lip products. I have two lip oils that I have been trying and loving. The first is the e.l.f. lip oils. These launched earlier in the year, and I have the shade Honey Talks. I actually agree with everyone and all the hype about these. I think they're great. A lot of people say they're a dupe for the Dior lip oils. I've never tried the Dior lip oil, but I don't really feel like I need to when these are this affordable and this comfortable on the lips. But the main thing about this formula that I absolutely love is how shiny it is. It is gorgeous on the lips. So if you're looking for a really shiny lip gloss or lip product that also feels comfortable on the lips, I can definitely recommend these. The only thing with these though is that I don't really know that the shades make that much of a difference because they're so sheer. So like I got this one in the shade Honey Talks, but it doesn't appear quite this deep on my lips. So I feel like you could pick up any shade and the overall effect would be pretty similar. Then we have the Catrice Gloss and Glow Tinted Lip Oil. I absolutely love this. It is so comfortable on the lips. It is so moisturizing on the lips. I have the shade 010 Keep It Juicy, and this does leave a little bit of a tint behind after the initial oil wears off, and it's just the prettiest, most flattering pink color. I made a reel talking about this, and I compared it to the Rare Beauty tinted lip oils. I feel like this is what we all thought the Rare Beauty ones were going to be. Like the Rare Beauty ones ended up being more of like a jelly type stain and less of a lip oil. This definitely is more of a moisturizing, shiny, hydrating lip oil, but it does leave a tint behind. And at such an affordable price point, I just love it. I really, really like Catrice products. I wish they were more readily available in stores here. I think they used to be more available in stores, and now they're basically all online at their website or on Amazon, but they make some really, really good products for amazing prices. So if you're sleeping on Catrice, I have so many favorites from them. Then in the lipstick category, I want to talk about my favorite lipsticks of the moment. They're both from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the lip combo I wore on my wedding day. So we have Candy Chic, which is more of like a mauvey pink, and then Pillow Talk Fair, which is the lighter, more cool toned version of Pillow Talk. The regular Pillow Talk always pulled really warm and almost coral on me. So the fair version was so exciting, and it is my perfect nude beige. I love both of these on their own. I love the combination of them together. I just feel like I have to shout them out because I've been so excited about them since I got them. And then back to the What's Up Beauty Egyptian Queen collection that launched this year. They did send me the lipsticks from the line, and these are absolutely stunning. You can see they are very high quality in terms of the packaging. It's almost a little bit reminiscent of Charlotte Tilbury with the ridged packaging. It's very heavy, very luxe feeling. And then the lipsticks themselves are embossed with the most beautiful Egyptian hieroglyphic images. These are a gorgeous classic lipstick formula. So they're not overly matte and not overly shiny. They're kind of somewhere in the middle. That perfect satin that really is going to grip to the lips and stay on well without completely drying your lips out. My favorite shade is Seba, which is a gorgeous cooler toned mauvey nude pink. It is so pretty and so flattering on the lips. And again, What's Up Beauty is such a impressive indie brand with all of the thought and attention to detail that they put into their products. I also tried the Wet n Wild Soft Blur Matte Lipsticks. They sent me a few shades. These are definitely for a specific type of person that likes a matte, really thin blurring lip formula, almost like a K-Beauty type formula. I'll be honest, that's not my favorite go-to lip formula that I love. I tend to like something a little bit more moisturizing, but I do think that these sit really nicely on the lips. They don't emphasize lip lines, and you could always easily top them off with a gloss if you find a shade that you like. Lots of really flattering colors, and they're very buildable. So you could do like a sheer wash, or you could build it up to be more of like an intense, bold lip moment. I think these are kind of like the Glossier Original Generation G lipsticks that were sort of that soft matte blurred effect. And then finishing this off with a blast from the past, Wet n Wild also sent me some of their Mega Slicks lip glosses. This is such a good gloss option at the drugstore. They are so affordable, and the best part is they have tons of shades. Every color, lots of different formulas. They have more shiny and shimmery ones, and then they have more opaque shades like this one where it really does add color to your lips. So I think that's pretty impressive because a lot of glosses like the e.l.f. lip oil, for example, they look like they have pigment in the tube, and then when you apply them, they just completely sheer out. But these Wet n Wild ones really do have a good amount of pigment, and they're so comfortable and pretty on the lips. For that price point, you really can't beat it. So Wet n Wild is another one of those brands, kind of like Catrice, that I feel like the quality of their products consistently is really good, and the price point is unbeatable. Whew, I've been talking for a long time. That was a lot of products, a lot of reviews. I tried to be speedy. We'll see how speedy I actually was when it comes to editing this video. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if there are any products that you would like to see in my next speed reviews. If you ever see me use a product here or on my Instagram or TikTok that you would like to know my thoughts on after I've tested it out a little bit more thoroughly, you can always let me know that, and I keep a running list in my phone of products that I want to include in a future speed reviews video. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoy this speed review type of video, or if there are any other videos you would like to see from me. I would love your video suggestions. I'm trying to film more, keep up with my uploads, and any ideas would be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching today. Give the video a like if you liked it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!